talk some more about some more types of methodologies. We're talking about personality inventories. I have a problem with this on a couple ways. If we're truly going to go through and open our minds up for 30 minutes inside the process for really hiring somebody, then you're going to sit down and then restrict who can come into the process by doing a personality inventory. It is simply hypocritical as you go through. Only an extrovert can do this job. I'll tell you what, I've seen a lot of CEOs, the majority of them are extroverts, but some of the best ones I've seen are full-blown introverts. They don't like talking in public, but they can sit down and manage things very well. And it doesn't seem they would fit that job. One of the best chief finance officer in the state of California for community colleges, he was a full-blown extrovert. And when he would talk, he would sit down and he would get embarrassed and his ears would turn red and his cheeks would turn red and everything else. He was a full-blown introvert and he wasn't even a good accountant. He was a finance guy as you went through. And there's a difference in that whole area. If we gave him an official test on the big five over here, he would totally have failed in being a chief finance officer, but he was one of the finest ones and he did not meet the standard personality profile. Personality profiles lead to discrimination. It may not be racial discrimination, but you're saying, only this personality can do this job well. I'll tell you what, that simply isn't true. There are multiple personalities out there that can do almost any job. When it comes down to it, depends how motivated they are, the skill set, and the knowledge they have as you go through. That is why I'm totally opposed to personality tests. They have no business in the hiring process as you go through. These inventories as you go through, you look on the extroversion, introversion aspect of it, the adjustment, the agreeableness, this is all good. I think these are spectacular tools for training when somebody is in there as you go through. This one over here, emotional intelligence, just so you go back, look historically at it, it really came on the scene in the 90s as you go through as a major emphasis. I really thought it was going to catch on and gain traction to it until it hit some serious problems about credibility, and some of the research on it showed that it wasn't all that accurate when it came down to it. But there's relevance to it, especially when it comes down to leadership as you go through. Is a person emotionally ready for leadership? Are they self-aware? Can they regulate their mouth, their actions, and focus in on the job needed for the organization? Are they self-motivated? Are they empathic to the people around them? Do they have strong social skills? This test over here actually has some relevance to it, but you have to go back and question the validity of it, and it has had some certain really serious problems on it along the way if you go back and look at the empirical evidence that's involved with it. Validity is a big thing because it's human resources job to make certain whatever standard that you use, that it has a predictive value to success on the job as you go through. People tend to lack insight into their own personalities, which is why I think that this type of tool, a personal inventory, is best for sitting there using as a staff development tool after the person is hired and part of an employee, especially for an advancement aspect as you go through. Now, this method here on work samples is a big deal. Role play is really good, interactive videos, simulation, competitions as you go through. But there's a lot of merit in the aspect of that because you're seeing them doing problem solving. Tests keep them job specific and the generalizability is low. Tests are expensive to develop though in the process, and sometimes you send them off to an assessment center that assesses them on certain things. If you're going to hire an accountant, good night, put them through a spreadsheet and see if they can actually work on a spreadsheet. If you're going to hire somebody that's doing a lot of word processing, have them create different memos and different situations on it. You're going to have somebody make decisions, give them multiple decisions to make as to what the best outcome would be for this over here and this over here. Work samples is by far the best way of doing it because you're taking content validity, the content of the job, and testing people on the content as you go through. So work samples is a really good thing. Honesty tests, I've seen a couple of them. They're not always the best thing that you go through. I took an honesty test one time, and by the time it was all done, it wanted to know if I would allow this act versus this act, and I would never allow either one of the act. I had to go back to the beginning and say, if it doesn't pertain to you, put no. So I put no down, and I make certain that when I got the job, if I ever get this job, I'm getting rid of this test. I got the job, and I stopped using that test because I thought it didn't apply as you go through. Make certain if you're going to use an honesty test, it's pertinent to what is out there. Sometimes on drug tests, you need to make certain the drug test is appropriate to the job as you go through. our country has gone through an opiate epidemic as you go through, and shifting the legal status of marijuana as you go through the process there. So we're looking at a change in our nation and the standard that we have, except for the fact that you do not want to have anybody high on the job. It's going to damage the output of the work. It may also damage your ability to complete the job as you go through. And in some cases, like an electrician, they may just forget to put a lockout tagout feature on the device. They sit down there and they sit down there and do a 12,300 or 4,500 volt aspect, and you have a dead body laying there because of the fact that somebody's using drugs and maybe somebody knew about it and didn't report it as you go through. This is a big deal, the drug use test. It's nice to worry about the civil liberties involved because I'm really conscious on that myself, except for the fact that if it's safety issues, sometimes this is the very best and appropriate way to go through. Here is a series of things. Personality tests, there's pigeonholes on personalities I don't think should be here. There's less diversity of thought. And by the way, there's a legal parameter for it called Griggs versus Duke Power, which really set the whole aspect of banning personality tests. And frankly, it's used in cases that organizations are sued for using them for hiring. Work samples is the best possible tool as you go through. Emotional intelligence tests, honesty tests, and drug tests are needed in some cases as you go through. Overall, make certain your selection process is extraordinarily good, and make certain it's a time of rejoicing instead of a time of angst as you go through the whole process to hire people, trying to bring the best people into a great organization, hopefully that you're part of. Take care.